Goodies everywhere. So here we are back in the garage looking at this 2003 1503 engine, and I felt like I wanted to pull the bottom case apart just to have a look underneath, because I envisioned just the worst rust and corrosion and wear, and everything looks pretty good. I see that there's a writing on the crankshaft, so I'm guessing that this was rebuilt at some point. I don't know, but it certainly looks like it's in pretty good shape. So I've just put some silicone back on here, very thin bead on either side. We're going to put this thing back together, and then I can start working on the head that's got all the corrosion in there and see if that's any good. Just don't want to send this down the road without going through and checking everything. So I have put the silicone on the bottom end there, and on the top I've just put some assembly lube on the bearings. All the bearings look good, there's no scoring or anything. A little bit of that coating has worn over time, but they look like they're in really good shape. So let's bolt this sucker back up. Beautiful. All right, now 10 million screws. Get in there. Okay, now we need the reverse forks. We'll run those in carefully. Oh yeah, there's one. Okay, we'll tighten those down, then we'll do the front there. First run, 29 foot-pounds. Not too bad. Actually. Okay, and then the final sequence is 41 foot-pounds. 41. That's nice on a stand. I don't know if the DI motor would go on a stand or not. Good. Let's see if we can, yep, perfect. And now all the perimeter bolts, millions of them. Lots of bolts. And now we move on to the head. I got to take all the valves out because I don't think these two outer ones are seating at all. There's so much rust. Actually, it's on the other side. Rusty, rusty, super rusty. Hopefully that's all the issue is. Oh yeah, more goodies. I was doing some thinking, and I'm assuming that it was the valves that were leaking, but we have no way of really testing it out. So I got a leak down tester gauge put the head back on, and I'm gonna see where it's leaking from, because I suspect now that we got two sets of stuck rings. Middle ones are good, but maybe that's why I've got the low compression in the front and back cylinders. So let's hook this up and see what we get. All right, so we'll start with the PTO side. Hope that's the right size. No, I got to drop down a size. What's that say, 12 millimeter? Is that the right size? Yeah. 12 mil. That's going to want to roll. Where's it leaking? Into the crankcase. Nothing. That's going to be okay now. I think that's a stuck ring. Now we'll do the middle. Hardly anything. Tiny bit coming out from the exhaust valve. Sorry, the intake. Clearly different from the back one. Basically means we got to take the engine apart again at the bottom end, pull the crank, pull the head, pull the pistons, change the rings. This is going to want to roll again. There she goes. All the way down. Leaking totally out into the crankcase. All right, so we got some stuck rings. Plan is to take the head off. I'm gonna clean up all the valves first. Want to give it a try. And then we'll pull the bottom end off and change the rings. Since this side is the crusty, rusty side, I'm going to start with this side. Can this go in? Yeah, because you're supposed to be able to slide that in and out. Guess not. Oh yeah. Make sense? That would be metric, would it not? 17 mil? 19 mil? And it pushes the valve. How do we do this without doing any damage? Uh-huh. Did I lose one of the keepers? Yeah, I need a smaller magnet. Might have to crank it down more. I don't know, getting pretty close to the max. And there she is. I am missing one. Oh, there it is right there. Holy cow, I gotta get something to put all this stuff in. Spring within a spring. Uh-huh, that's the seal there. Not terrible. Look in here. Is that terrible? I'd say that's terrible. But it's up inside, so I'm gonna try cleaning that up, and then we'll lap the valve and put her back together. Brass brush. That's like brand new. How do you suppose we get that guide out of there? I don't know. Oh, like nothing. Guide's okay. Put a new seal on. And lube juice. I guess if I'm going to lap the valves, I don't want to do this yet. Yeah, actually I'm gonna leave that off. Open the tube of the lapping compound and it sprayed all over the friggin' place. Way, way, way more than I need. Drill. Not so good, slipping. It's a good fit too. Manual approach. Guess I need that special tool. Tools. Takes weeks to get all the tools together. That's ridiculous. Need a different plan. I gotta go get another tool. All right, more equipment. With that, you know you're supposed to hold it and roll it through your hands, but the wood is so slippery, it doesn't do anything. I gotta work on something better. Well, I guess that's what we're going with. Maybe that's the color in there, I don't know. But everything, there's no pitting, no nothing. It's perfect fit. I want to see if I can get that back together before I tear any more things apart. New one. Fits on there good. Interior spring. Exterior. A lot of tension. Holy crap. I guess I gotta Loctite that on. Keeper. Is there a top and bottom to them? No. So the impact is just a little bit too violent. I'm gonna Loctite this thing together. There she is. That looks better. All right, now I gotta do that like 11 more times. All right, there she is. Got them all cleaned up. Everything looking good. Most of the little bits of rust that were out of there was just some surface rust. Nothing serious at all. Valves are all in there and seated nicely. I think that will run just fine. So now we got to put our eyes on this thing. I had that off. Now we're going to pull it off again and really tear into this thing. Oh boy. Well, may as well get her done. Okay, we got the bottom case pulled off, and I am just going to pull this rod. Maybe. No. That is round. And round. Now what? How come that won't? That must be a totally different bit. It is. Love working on new stuff. Well, that's confirmed. Look at how many points there are on that. So that's a socket I don't have. Now I got to order that and 2 new bolts for here. I'll have to get those out and replace them. Well, hell, every time I try and move forward, it's another week of ordering parts. So guess I'll see you back next week. I got ahead of myself without showing you guys. There's the socket set for that 12.10 mil. I got an adapter to put on my breaker bar. Ah, look, I already broke that one loose. That's what I did, put that on there, broke it loose with the breaker bar. Came out like nothing. No more impact tools on those, and that's the setup. It's brutal because I don't have all the tools for this stuff. So I got to stop, start, stop, start, wait till the parts come in, or tools. Okay, we're gonna have to give that a little tap, and I'm gonna have to mark it. Somewhere. Collar number 1. Bearing looks good. How do we determine left and right side? There's the little notch for the, oh, that's kind of crummy casting. Is that normal? Obviously they only fit one way because of all this kind of casting. So the notches in the bearings go towards the flywheel. Guess we're going to push that right out the bottom. And she's out, and sure enough those rings are stuck. Exactly what we were thinking. Well, good. So I guess don't leave these things out in the rain open. Yeah. Okay, getting deeper. Now, next thing is how do we get these unstuck and out? Because it's stuck. Brittle. Now razor sharp. Just holy cow. Guess that's one way to get it out. And that is rusty. What I was just looking for is any writing on the top side to differentiate. The rings. Doesn't matter, I got a new set here in anticipation of this problem. I wonder if these are normally this brittle, or is that just the age? Now what I don't see is a joint in that ring right there. So I boiled her up in the ultrasonic over here, just for like 5 minutes, and the ring actually opened up. That thing was just invisible to see to the eye. Checked it over and over again. Gonna have to be super careful when I'm putting these back on, because obviously they break super easy. Might have to boil that a little bit more. Super stuck in there. And there we go. Yeah, there's still some crud in there. I'm gonna cook that for a bit and then we'll put the new rings on. What do you think? Good enough for reassembly? Not seeing any crud. Let's see if we can put some rings on without breaking them. At the bottom oil ring. And this one, the top one, we'll see what that does. The original one was all one piece. She's on there. And then the next one is a skinnier one. That was the one that was stuck. I'll get these on and then we'll rotate them to where they got to be. They're supposed to be 180 out, I believe. And the top one. Everything with the writing up. They're all on there. Now we got to find the where the joint is supposed to be, and then I have a ring compressor coming. We'll have that shortly today. We'll pop this back in. Well, I guess if we're going to flip this over to put the pistons back in, I got to pull the cam and crank out, and in order to do that, I got to pull these bolts off or we won't be able to see the alignment marks. So, and these are 1/2-inch bolts for some weird reason. 12 doesn't fit, nor does 13, but 1/2 inch fits perfect. So let's see if this will even move. Yeah. Way nicer with these bolts than the Phillips ones that we have on the two-strokes. Ooh, that magnet is strong. Don't think this matters, but I'm going to just put a little mark on here just for fun. Because what locates the reluctor wheel? Oh yeah, there's a little hole there and a dowel pin down below. So not so bad. I got parts everywhere. What's the story with this? Comes right off. No problem. Timing was right on. So if I take this out, because it's going to fall on the floor, I got to remember to put that back in before I put that on. And now all this stuff should just lift right out, but I got to find a home for it. Okay, there's your alignment marks. Let's yank this sucker out of here. Gone. And then there's these little bushings in here. I'll leave those in and I'll take a photo. Got this cap at the back. Oh, I can't pull that out till I disconnect the other two rods. That one is loose on that bolt. But she's coming. Yeah. I'm in deep now. Number 2. Three. Yes, we can. Push this guy out. Bit of crud in there. All the other bearings are good. That moves so much nicer than the other ones. Let's see what we see on this one. Looks like the same thing. Same thing, all stuck. I'm gonna cook it for 5 minutes and then I'll pull those rings out. We'll pop the new ones on like we did on the other one. Okay, one thing I forgot to do is check the ring gap. So I better just do that just to be sure there isn't something off. Let's use that to square it up. It's supposed to be between 0.15 and 0.35 mil. 0.15. Ring gap right there. That fits in. 0.35 does not, so we're somewhere in between, which is right in spec. I'm going to check all the other ones, but basically that's all you got to do to make sure you got the right rings. Just going to throw a little bit of 5W40 on her. Dripping oil everywhere, good. Oil in there. You see that? In that hole. In that hole, there, there. I think we'll oil up the cylinder as well. That was number 1. You got to align the grooves 120 degrees apart and not on the truss and not on the bore. So that's fairly straightforward. Just going to spin these rings around. Arrow point to the exhaust, which is that way. Ring compressor. Check my arrows. Oh yeah, that's good. Good, good, good. Now I'll pop that one in. That felt good going in there too, so. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Wonder if I should change the ones in the middle too, even though they're perfectly fine. Or do I save those other rings in case something goes wrong somewhere else? The only reason why I changed these was because they were rusted in. This one had no issue. I'm gonna leave that. When the engine is this way, where I marked number 3 was here and number 1 was there. And then when you roll it over, now number 3 is back here. So I pulled them out and flipped them around. And I matched up the caps. I guess they cast them and break them or something. They match perfectly. Let's not forget anything. Just put some lube in there. Push that down a bit. The slot on here lines up with the slot in there. That means that has to go together like that. And that fits together perfect. Now I need some new bolts. What I have to check out is this cap on the end. How that went. That slot to the slot. They fit down nice and tight. Okay, where's the timing mark? Timing mark's right there. Counterbalance. Timing mark is right there. And they are right on. And then this shim piece fell on the floor, and I know that goes somewhere. Better, gonna have to look it up. There it is right there. And they go opposite. The fin, the large fin points towards me on this side. Meaning, when this goes in, that should be pointing this way. Just like that. We'll take them to 45 Nm, all of them. Is that in foot-pounds? It's 45. So 90 is from here to there. Really? That's friggin' tight. So against your better judgment, but good to me. Perfectly timed. So I put a little bit of ultra black sealant all the way around. Super, super thin coat. Last time when I put this back together, it squeezed it all out anyway. And the case goes, be sure I got it the right way around. Yes. What do I have in my way? Nothing. That dropped down perfect. That's an E11 socket. Just going to run these down. Okay, what's the torque on that? They actually want you to torque the crank bolts first in the sequence, so we'll pop those in first. These are E14 inverted torques. Apply 243 on the threads, torque block screws to 40 Nm. Second sequence 55. Torque engine block screws to 22. So let's see what the sequence is here. This one of these should be number 1. Oh yeah, right there. Okay. Engine block screws 40 Nm. Let's do it. 40 Nm, and the first one is this one. And then it says, and in a second sequence to 55 Nm. Let's do it. $55. Good. Now I got to torque all these little guys here all the way around in a crazy sequence to 22 Nm. What's the sequence? 6, 7, 8. Do they crisscross? Starting in here, 9, 10. 9 to 13. Then go that way. Oh my. Okay. I'll do that. This is number 9. Before I pop those caps on, I'm going to put the Bendix back in. That's better. Flywheel dowel pin is down here. Reluctor wheel. That has a dowel pin right there. And we'll pop them back on, the bolts back in. They get Loctite. And I believe it said 24 Nm. I will verify that. These are 1/2 inch socket. See what it says here, yeah, 24 Nm. 1/2 inch socket though, why, I don't know. I think we're good. I'm not going to mess around with that anymore. Caps going in on the top. They get a new O-ring and 18 foot-pounds. Caps are all in, torque down to 22. Now I got to roll it over. Going this way so that that doesn't fall out. Dowel pin there. And now we get the head on. And head bolts. So they all get 40 Nm or 30 foot-pounds. Then you tighten them additional 120 rotation and then finishing with a 90. This whole 120 and 90. I don't think this has a rotation gauge on it. Let me see. Not that I can see, but I'm going to take them all down to 40. And then they want 120. So you got 90, 110, 120. Wow. So if I start there, I got to finish there for 120. Yeah, 90's easy. 120's a little more of a something. Actually, I'm going to start here. That's 120. And then they want another 90. Holy cow. Do I have anything that'll mark? Oh, I'll just put it on the head. 90 more. Holy shish. That's it. Cam it up. And that's in. And then there's a locking pin. That's this guy. Which way it goes on, I forget. It's obviously got to go down and that way because of the way the groove is. The cam needed to be in further. There it is. That just stops it from coming out. Good. Now, cam gear. Maybe we'll do that up on an angle like this. Oh, I got the locking pin in so the crank can't turn. And we got to get the locking pin for this. Okay, I got to rotate the cam, which is right around here, to let this drop in the locking pin. Now she's locked. Cam gear at 1503 up to the top. Yeah, that looks right. Pretty close right there. Quite a bit of play with out the chain tensioner on, but we'll get that on next. And the chain guide. Oh yeah. Looking better now. Cam bolts, don't drop them. Blue Loctite. And I gotta look up the torque setting for that. Nm, which is not a lot of torque. Chain tensioner. Put a little bit of oil on it. I don't think that does anything because it just pushes on the plastic. New washer. Tighten that down. How many different tools do we need? All right, now I want to put the valves or the rockers back on. Rockers, one. Looks good. Some bolts. Let's get the torque. So we got torque sequence 10, then 20, finish with a 90. Nm. Then 20. And then the old infamous 90. Beautiful. And PTO cover going on, new gasket. We need to line up the water pump. This is what I got hung up on last time. This has to fit in that slot over there. And we got some serious magnetism going on. Oh, and before we do that, we got to put all the springs and washers. I got to find that right combination. First one is that brass one. Goes on opposite way to what you'd think. Then another washer, cup side in. Another washer, cup side out. Flat washer. Now we can do the cover. Okay, that's going to go like that. That's in. And that's in. Now 10 million screws. Got a good pile of them in there anyway. All the way around, one missing here, short one. I'll find it. And the missing one. Now we got to torque all those down. 24 Nm. Let's do it. What's the sequence? All in order? Oh, come on. That's a crazy one. Two is down here. Not so sure about this torque. Seems like a lot. Reinstall engine support, apply Loctite. Yeah, that's what it is. You got a wording script. They show the whole sequence and then it says 24 Nm, but that's for an engine support. I think these are all 18s. So that's what I'm doing, 18. Cam sensor. I have a new washer for that, O-ring. I'm gonna put that on. A little bit of Loctite. This one's probably like 10. Good enough. All right, now what? And just a quick crank over, just to make sure we're all good. Looks good. Let's check compression. I gotta put 2 plugs in and 1 compression gauge or the starter kicks out. Okay, gauge is upside down. Anything over 90. Yeah, 150 is a lot better than the 90. Let's check the middle one. Center one. Nice. Engine mount, 24 Nm. And Loctite, 24 Nm. What now? Oil cooler. Oil cooler 10 Nm on the little bolts. More engine mounts. And whoop, these are 24 Nm. There's one more mount on the other side. And going on. All right, let's see what we got left. That's the parts we got left. We got the cam cover. We have the supercharger, which takes two bolts, and one goes the opposite way into there. 3 bolts for that. That's an O-ring from the oil fill. Those are not from there. That's interesting. All right, had a little bit of a microphone issue. I'm torquing them down to 10 Nm for now. Been through the manual everywhere, cannot find them. Shows the screws, says to torque to the following procedure, and the next procedure goes into the head and tells you to go to 40 Nm. If I twisted those down to 40 Nm, there'd be nothing left of them. So something's messed up on the manual in a few spots, so you have to be careful. Basically all these go on at 10, every one. I have a solution to the unreachable bolt. A 1/4 inch 12-point wrench fits on those bolts perfectly. So why I didn't think of that before, I don't know, but everything was falling apart yesterday. With the batteries going dead on my GoPro. So anyway, thought it through, worked perfectly. Well guys, that's it for this 2003 rebuild. Everything went well. Hardest part of the whole thing was trying to understand what the manual was telling us to do, where you can easily put the wrong torque on the bolts. You really got to read through the manual. What was our biggest headache? Getting that bolt out, but now we discovered the 1/4 inch wrench, 12-point, will take those bolts out for the supercharger. Everything else was pretty simple and pretty straightforward. So print off the manual at seadoomanuals.net. and you shouldn't have a problem. My long-term thoughts about this stuff, I don't know, pretty messy, pretty oily. I got stains all over the floor, all over everything. Not sure how excited I am about them, and extremely expensive to get parts. So with the DIs, although they seemed expensive, as soon as I jumped into this, like, you can be in for thousands in no time. Bolts, you got to replace the bolts every time you take it apart, new stretch bolts. The bearings are cheap, which is nice. Gasket set, couple $100, same as the DIs. That's about it, I guess. So anyway, this one's ready to go. We got 150 or 160 a cylinder. Can't test it right now because I don't have a hull, although I have my eyes on a hull with a blown motor right now. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, until the next one, appreciate you watching, and have a great Christmas and New Year's.